Okay, this is Programming Logic. We're busy with Unit 2, Lesson 1, and we are covering arrays. At this stage, we're going to have a look at planning an array application. So what is the steps involved in planning the application? For starters, we need a problem. And over here, we've got our problem statement. Please take note. Planning assignments 21 to 30 that we're busy with currently, just practice the basics of processing arrays. So all arrays need to be declared as local variables in the event procedure. Let's assume the following user interface would be specified. We need a button add numbers as well as a list box to display the output. So I need to store 5 numbers in an array and process them as specified. Now over here we say allow the user to enter 5 numbers and we're going to store it in an array. After the input is entered, we're going to display all the numbers in a list box, calculate and display the average, and thereafter we're going to increase all the numbers by a certain percentage that the user enters, and lastly all the numbers will again be displayed in the list box. Okay, so everything that we need in the program would be local variables. I can simply go and delete all the planning sections that I don't need. I'm going to leave the button event procedure. So this, you can leave this as form 1. The button click will be button, let's call it add numbers. Just like that. Okay, so the first thing that I always do is to pick the input and the output and any other variables that we can. The array itself is only stored in memory. So that means array numbers, and I'm going to store 5 elements, 5 numbers, so the highest subscript must be 4. It's declared over here. And I'm just going to specify that this would be an integer value that I am saving. I need to get a number at a time from the user using an input box function, and I know at this stage only the average is needed. So that means sum will be another variable, and average would be displayed in a list box, so I can call it list box output, and all other numbers would also be displayed in the list box output. Like that should be sufficient. As I go with my program steps, I might add some additional variables. Okay, so step 1 would always be declare the variables. That's quite easy. Okay, we all know that step at this stage. And now I need to go have a look. Okay, so first of all, we need to get 5 numbers from the user. We've got some algorithms that I gave us that we can use. So the algorithm to populate the array with data, to store new data, would be traverse the array, accept a new value, assign the data to the array element, and stop the loop. So we can just as well go, take that, go to the planning document and start with that. We will just update it as it is necessary. So traverse the array, start to the end is good. I will accept a number, hey, from the user. I will store the number, or then assign the data to the array element. assign the number to the array element and stop the loop. So this is the first part. I just added the things that I needed for my specific program from the template, from the algorithm that we got. So get 5 numbers, and I did that. After the input is entered, I need to display all the numbers and calculate and display the average in the list box. And again, we've got an array algorithm to go and calculate the average. So I am simply going to copy it here, update it as it is necessary. So we'll see in a moment. Okay, so I've got a sum that I've specified. It's got to be initialized to 0. I need to traverse the array from the start to the end. I need to add the number to the sum. Stop the loop. But this is not all I need to do, hey? I need to display all the numbers. So I can add a step here. Display the array number. We can also say add the array number to the sum. I will test that my array has got data. If so, the average must be 0, otherwise I will calculate the average. We'll add that step in a moment, and we will display the average. Okay, so if I now go on, we say the next thing that the user needs to do would be to get a percentage increase from the user. We again will need to use input box, and then we're going to increase the numbers and thereafter display the numbers in the list box one by one. So I need the increase percentage using an input box from the user. Shall we say we're going to use another variable to calculate the increase value, and then we're displaying it after we update it. Okay, so if I now need to update all the data, quickly see if I gave you an algorithm for that. So I need to get the percentage increase, traverse the array, and end the loop, or I can specify, and this is normally what we want. We want a percentage increase, eh? So I can take those steps, can go and enter it into my algorithm. So get the percentage increase from the user. I'm going to traverse the array. I am going to calculate the percentage value. We can use that. I am going to add the percentage value to the array, and then I am going to display the array element like that. Okay, quite a few steps. Let's just go and put them on a new page so that we can have a look at all of them. Okay, next I'd like us to have a look at specific statements that we're going to follow. Okay, just to make things easier, I've divided the screen or this section into 2 columns, and I'm going to code the appropriate code just to the right of my English statement. So if I need to traverse the array, I can normally use either a for each or a counter-controlled for loop, and at this stage I need a counter-controlled loop because I'm going to update the array. So that means under other variables I can add another line. So I am going to have CNT, short for count. So for count, start at 0, go to array numbers dot length -1, and I need next count immediately. What do I want to do? I want to accept a number. So I will need to convert the input to an integer. I call input box and I ask the user enter a number. Like that. And then I need to save the number in the array. So that means AR numbers, which subscript count. Count stores my number for me. Must save the number. Let's increase it a little bit, the font. So, traverse the array, a for loop that goes from 0 to the end of the array. Array numbers.length -1. I am going to accept a number, so call input box, get a number, save it. If you forget about the conversion, it's no big problem. As soon as you code the statement in VB, it's going to moan at you and you can add it there. This is not a crucial step. And then I'm going to save the number, this must be single, in array numbers. Next, initialize the sum to 0. So there we go. And traverse the array. So at this stage I've got a choice. I can either use a counter-controlled loop like the one above, or I can use a for each. So I want to use different statements. For each number in array numbers. And right at the end I've got next number. It's the correct statement. The line to display a number would be list box output dot items dot add. What do I want to add? Number. If you used an array with a counter-controlled loop, you will display array numbers of position count. Next, I'd like to add that to the sum. So sum plus equals to number. If you do exactly the same but with a counter-controlled loop, your code is going to look like this. So I'm just showing you over there. I'm going to delete this code in a moment. Oh, let's take both of those two lines while I'm busy with that. So this will now be array numbers, which position count, and add array numbers, which position count. So those two loops does exactly the same. Either a for each statement or the for loop that's counter-controlled. I'm going to delete that one. I don't need it. Now I need to test if the array is empty or not. So my if statement, I can test the length of the array for now. Array numbers dot length. If that is bigger than 0, then, or if it is 0, hey, I want to test if it's equal to, then average is equal to 0, else I calculate my average, and we're going to say that would be sum divided by array numbers dot length. Why do I use AVG? Because that's the variable that I've said I want to use. The uppercase or the lowercase doesn't matter too much to VB. So, and I need an end if, like that. Okay, and thereafter I need to display the average. Whenever I'm going to display, I need to use message box dot show and something like the average, concatenation sign, and average. And I can use toString method if I wanted to. Okay, that's the line that says display the average. Next, I need to get the percentage increase. I called my variable increase percentage. So increase percentage, what do I want? I want an input box call, enter the percentage increase. Obviously I don't have a lot of space if I take a page and convert it, so I already know I need to convert that to an integer, or then to a double if I wanted to store a double, and actually a double would be a little bit better, dbl. So that means this percentage increase that I'm going to get, I want to specify must be a double, because that would just be a little bit better. And again, I need to traverse the array now from the start to the end, and I can't use a for each statement because I'm going to update the data. So I need to use a counter controlled loop. Let's just move that up a little bit. I've got a counter controlled loop with next count. Over here I would need to calculate the percentage increase. Now I've got a variable for that. It's increase value. So increase value would be array numbers of position count times, and now I've called this variable increase percentage, and it's got to be divided by 100 to get the right value. Let's just move that up a little bit. And lastly, I need to add the percentage value to the array element, so that would be AR numbers of position count. What must it store? AR numbers of position count plus my increase value. And now I need to display my array element. So list output dot items dot add what array numbers position count, like that. Okay, my processing steps are not completed. I don't have any test data. it's a little bit hard to enter test data over here. So if I go to Excel, I made provision for all my numbers. I can call it array numbers. And let's just assume the user entered 52, 85, 74, 41, and 63. 5 values. So if I am going to calculate the average of those values, I would do it as follows. Simplest way would be take B2, add C2, add D2, add E2, and add F2. If you guys know how to do the sum function in Excel, perfectly fine, much better. For beginners, I'm going to just use the different cell numbers. To calculate the average, I'm going to say take B4 divided by 5. And now if we need an increased percentage, let's assume we want 8%. So what would be my increased array? A are numbers. I will need to say take B2, add to it B2 times, if I want just the 8 like that, it's fine, divide by 100, 0.08 is also good. I can do it like that, but a little bit better would be to use the cell where the 8 is stored. So times B7, I need to divide it by 100. And that's also fine. But the moment that I copy this cell and paste it there, I don't get any increase because it automatically takes the next cell for me. And I don't have an 8 stored there. So whenever I use 8 over here, B7, I need to specify, use this exact cell always. Don't go and adjust it. In order to do so, I would put percentage sign just before it. So if I now copy it, I've got a 8% increase in 85. So paste, paste, paste. And there are my test data for my program. I can go and save that. So now at this stage, the planning is completed. I've got array data that I'm using. I've calculated what the average needs to be, and I am calculating my new increased values. So I can, when I run the program, test it, make sure that it performs exactly like I need it to be.